What's good, y'all? Hope everybody's living well and staying blessed. It's your boy, Marcus B. As always, I'm with the one and only Mr. Evan Simmons.
What's up?
Hope you're living well, big dog.
Trying.
Good to hear. Well, aren't we all?
Yeah.
This is episode 18 of Holla at Your Boy, and today I sat down with my close friend, Miss Ashley Grafe. She is a student over at UMHB studying, I think, microbiology? Yeah, microbiology, something in that world. She knows so much about science, and that's what we talked about a lot today, and I was not prepared to have this much knowledge spat at me, but nonetheless, I did my best to absorb the knowledge as well as throw in my bro science as well as my bro history as I do. We also talked about a little of our shared history of being former dancers as well as former fighters, as well as talk about band as we always do on this show. As always, if you guys like what it is we're doing out here, make sure you like, follow, subscribe, share, show us some love in any which way possible, whether that be on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and all things social media. As always, hope you guys enjoy the show. Peace. Anyways, Miss Ashley, who are you? What do you do? Where are you from? All those fun things.
Oh, good. Okay. I'm Ashley. I'm from Round Rock, Texas. If you don't know where that is, it's Austin. I'll just say it's Austin. But I'm a student at UMHB. I'm a super senior. This is my last semester. I'm studying some biochemistry with a minor in chemistry. So hopefully I'll be actually graduating and doing some good stuff with that.
Science and science.
Yeah. It's not just bro science.
All things I don't know. Yeah, see, I purely subscribe to bro science, which is rooted in real science, but the explanation is...
No, it's not.
It is
Thank you, Evan, for that.
It is rooted in real science. The knowledge I know is legitimate. I just don't know how to explain it.
Then is
the
it
best
really
way.
knowledge if you can't explain it?
I can explain it. I get the point across. All right, I don't need both of you guys patronizing me right now, okay?
Sorry,
Don't
was that
enjoy it.
not why I was invited on the show?
Probably, let's be honest. Just gonna kind of talk mess the entire time.
Yeah, good stuff.
So, with that being said, I'm not gonna consider you a super senior. You're just doing one extra semester, right?
Fair enough.
Because I was an actual super senior, 6.5 years in total. Gang, shout out to all the homies that took way too long to get their undergraduate. Go Cats. Anyways, so what is the plan afterwards once you graduated with everything?
So right now I'm just kind of planning on teaching high school for a little bit. Gonna be a biology or a chemistry teacher, just kind of dip my foot into the teaching world.
Right on.
And then just realized that I meet all the requirements to go to grad school at UT Austin. So I'm planning on going there and getting my master's in virology and PhD in microbial genetics.
Master's in, say that again?
Virology?
To study viruses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Study of viruses.
Okay. All right, Evan, let me figure it out. I'm a big kid. So why that? Like, what is that line? Like, why those things?
So microbial genetics and virology usually go hand in hand. So since I'm already going to be getting my PhD in microbial genetics, which is just a very narrow study of microbiology in general, and I'm going to be taking classes with virology, bacteriology, anything like that.
Gotcha.
So it's already a part of my path, and I might as well just get a master's while I'm at it. It could help me get a job. If I want to do teaching, I could teach multiple subjects instead of just microbiology or genetics. I could do virology depending on where I'm teaching.
Okay.
Or if I want to go into the hospital, I could be in certain sectors, or I could teach in certain sectors of a hospital or conduct my own research in basically any field that I want.
Okay. Neat.
Yeah. It's a lot.
So virology is just kind of like the common thing, or is that just kind of what you're interested in? Like, what else would you be able to get a master's in? I'll plug your stuff in a second.
Yeah.
What else could what's another normal master's degree, I guess?
Kind of like what I was just saying. It was like I could just get my PhD in microbiology in general, and I could go pretty much anywhere with that. I could get a master's in genetics. I could get a master's in cell biology or virology, bacteriology, anything with the study of fungus. So basically anything that's considered a microbe.
Why?
So
and that sounds like a really aggressive question, but like
no, it's fair.
Me and Evan have talked about this, where like why we ended up being music educators. Like at the end of the day, we just like band and we thought that we could do this thing. So like I'm just trying to figure out like where did you decide that science and specifically microbes and viruses and what have you is the path?
So growing up, I was always very interested in science, and for most of my life, I actually wanted to be an oncologist, which is a cancer doctor. But
interesting.
Going into college, I realized that the medical field was not for me because I enjoy more of the teaching aspect and more of the research aspect that comes with it. And I wouldn't really be able to do much of that in the oncology field that wouldn't keep me from talking to people. Is if you're doing research in the oncology field, you're pretty much by yourself the entire time. It's like you're with a team, but most of the time you're stuck in a lab, and that's not for me.
The team's probably what, like 3-4 people?
Yeah, it's about 4 people. So. And they're all doing separate jobs. The only time we come together is for a consultation, which takes about an hour. So
definitely missing that human interaction.
Yes, and sense. Me being me, especially after Corona, realized cannot do that.
Yeah, need the people around. But you made this decision previously, and COVID kind of affirmed your decision of staying away from that.
Basically.
What is teaching in a hospital? What is, because again, not standard questions, not standard classroom, and you'd be teaching, I assume, doctors. Usually
residents at that point. So anyone that's coming in that's probably going to be a phlebotomist or anything that has to do with blood, anyone that has to run a blood test.
Gotcha.
Usually you'll have to check for microbes or any sort of infection. You'll have to do blood cultures kind of thing, so I can teach them how to run those programs and how to properly culture all of those things. I can really talk to any doctor, medical student, resident, nurse, even anyone that has to do any of those tests. And they'll usually have a unit set aside in the hospital specific for that, just because there's so many different units that you have to go to. It's like if I had to go and get blood taken right now, it'd go through 4 separate units, depending on the tests that they had to run.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
It's... I think it's more just to keep it organized kind of thing. And they don't always have to do that, because there are plenty of tests that you can just kind of run it through a computer and it'll tell you, like, these are her levels here, and it can go through one person. So most of the time, if you're taking blood in, say, the emergency room, it just goes through one person, because you don't really have the time to figure out, all right, well, it's not this, let's go on to the next unit. But if they're actually in the hospital and we're trying to figure out, like, a long-term thing that's going on, usually you'll start in one place and start ruling out from there.
Gotcha.
So it's just kind of like the study of microbiology in general. If you're trying to figure out what one thing is, you start with the broad, and then you start slicing away based on what is there or what isn't there.
The base level of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I had, like, a couple of homies back, like, freshman year that were studying the same things that you're talking about. I never really understood, like, what microbiology was. Again, the words make sense, but, like, the concept was very, not drastic, foreign to me. And
it's also very broad. It depends on what part, and it depends on your professor and what university that you're at will just kind of determine what you're talking about as far as microbiology. Just because it is such a broad term, it's literally the study of microbes. There are millions of microbes just on your body right now. Millions of different kinds, and that doesn't nearly include, like, the differences between your normal microbiota versus mine versus Evans versus your neighbor down the street or anything like that. And then there's just all different kinds that you find in really harsh environments versus in everyday life. And then the new ones that we're finding every day, and the ones that keep coming up and mutating and everything that create a whole new thing, like the coronavirus. It's been a thing, but it's been mutated enough that now it affects humans.
Gotcha.
So.
Man, I'm really glad there's people like you out there, because that just does not sound...
It's a whole different world than what we're used to.
I'm not down. Like, shout out to you for understanding and wanting to be about that. But that is, again, everything you said makes sense, but I would not want to devote my life to that. So
that's fair. It's really not for everyone. I started getting into microbiology probably late elementary school, early middle school.
What?
My mom was a microbiologist.
Okay.
And she worked in a lab for about 10 years. So
that makes sense, because I was curious on how people got into science at such a young age. Like you said what, elementary school?
Mm-hmm.
Like how that interest gets sparked if it wasn't for a parent.
Yeah.
So what did your mom do exactly?
She worked in a lab that was called antimicrobial test laboratories, just very basic, but basically what they did is they took antibacterial and antimicrobial products like cleaning supplies and tested them before they went out on shelves, basically making sure they worked.
They worked and that they're safe.
Yeah.
And such. Gotcha.
Yeah. So have you seen like the Method stuff? Any of the cleaning supplies that says Method on it?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay. If you go to the grocery store, they usually have some like cleaning supplies. They have really good hand soaps. Stuff
You mean
like
Myers?
that. No. It's called Method.
Do you know this?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm just out of the loop. All right.
That was one of the products my mom tested.
Dope.
Yeah.
Okay.
So about halfway through, she actually started running her own little part of that, which was cosmetic test labs, which made it a little bit harder because a lot of name brand cosmetics, so anything with makeup, they usually have their own testing center.
Makes sense.
But there is no regulation on testing. You don't have to get your products tested.
Really?
Yes. So a lot of times...
It seems a little backwards.
I know. But more and more companies, especially startup companies, are starting to, just because it makes them more competitive.
Yeah.
Just as
Makes
their
them
customers
legitimate.
knowing it's like, well, this thing isn't going to give me staph infections, so there's that.
That's not good, man.
Yeah.
Huh. That's...
But again, a lot of the name brand ones, they will get tested just because, again, it makes them more competitive, but they can afford to have their own sector of testing, so they don't have to outreach to other places to get it done.
That's another thing that can always kind of confuse me, is labs. Just like, that's, again, another really broad statement.
Yeah.
Like, to me, I have a very strict picture of what a lab is in my mind.
I'm just loving this hand motion.
Yeah, it's hard. The people that only listen don't get to see the aggressive hand motions I do.
Love it.
Because they're poignant and abundant.
They can hear them, though.
They can't hear them.
If you hit the table.
I know. I try not to hit the table. I get aggressive. Can't do anything about it. I'm working on it. That's why we meditate. But yeah, like, I don't... You say lab, I see a picture in my head, but I know, like, certainly that's not what an actual lab is.
Basically, just picture a very open concept building with tons of stainless steel.
So like a kitchen.
Basically, but no ovens, a lot more like microwave-looking things, and much bigger machinery.
So an Applebee's kitchen.
Yeah. That's a great one to use. Well, I laugh all the time because every time that I went into the lab with my mom, so with microbiology, every time you plate something and you have to collect cultures, you do it on these little petri dishes.
Yes.
Kind of thing. And I would walk in and there's stacks of them. I mean, there's thousands of them. And so my job for that day while she was running other tests was to count the colonies. Basically just looking at the plate and just counting each individual dot on there and just seeing how much there are. I would just put the number on there and then move on. I mean, it would take me hours. But the way that they would sterilize everything, and the best way to sterilize something in a lab is to use alcohol.
Yeah.
So my mom, who is a very conservative Christian woman, doesn't drink.
Yeah.
But in her lab, she would have a top shelf lined with nothing but Everclear.
So just
straight bottles of Everclear.
Bottles of Everclear, not even just like rubbing alcohol. Like
no.
Everclear.
Because Everclear was usually cheaper, but it also had a higher alcohol content, so it cleaned better. Huh. Like rubbing alcohol goes about 90%, Everclear is about 95%.
So we should stop drinking then, right?
Probably.
Oh.
I've been saying that for years, bro.
It's not good for you.
Not good for you.
Oh, man.
I refuse. If they're using, again, my bro science, like I knew people use it to clean. It has been affirmed by a scientist. See, bro science,
Bro
rooted
science.
in real stuff.
All right. Okay, I see you. But
Shout out.
Basically, we use it.
Terrifying, though.
We use it for fuel. Essentially, it's like the way you don't just spread the alcohol out and rub it on. You spread the alcohol out and then you light it on fire and let it burn, and that's what kills the microbes. We even do that in my micro labs.
Did you know that?
No.
Is that common knowledge? Should I feel dumb for not knowing that?
No.
Okay, cool.
We started talking about it in the micro labs that I now TA for, and one of the biggest things is we just spray 70% ethanol on our tables, and most of the time we'll wipe it down, but if it's anything like if I have to clean up a microbe spill,
Yeah.
ethanol, light it on fire, more ethanol, and then I wipe it down. Like none of the microbes we use in the lab are harmful. They could be, but
Yeah,
it's
that's
just
wild.
But it's just the precautions that you have to take.
Huh.
That's a lot.
That's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
Like I don't.
Like we mainly use alcohol and fire to clean everything. Kid you not, everything.
You said there's like no Clorox or like.
No. So we'll actually do an experiment where we test some cleaning products to see which ones work the best. So we'll put like
Yeah.
That makes sense.
409, Pine Sol,
Yeah.
Clorox, Windex, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And different students will have two different kinds of things, and most of the time they'll clean about the same, but it's more just to kind of teach them like you need to read the labels because there are certain things that it will actually disinfect and other things that it will not, as far as like killing microbes.
That
Because-
makes sense. Okay.
There are certain classifications of microbes that it can target and others that it can't.
But if you just light it on fire, you're straight.
Exactly. So just basically pour some alcohol on your stuff and then just light it on fire, watch it burn, and you're good.
Okay.
Okay.
So, well, I mean, now I'm curious. What is the best cleaning supplies?
The one that I found was actually 409.
409?
Yeah, I've used it pretty much
No.
my entire life because that's the only thing that my mom would buy. I never understood why, and then I did those experiments and I realized, oh, this stuff actually works the best.
Did you test out Fabuloso?
No, we didn't have any Fabuloso last time, but I'm getting some for
All
this
right.
time.
Let me know.
Will do.
Because that's the tried and true from all the Mexicans down in San Antonio.
All right.
Fabuloso, bro.
Fabuloso.
Just giant 2-gallon thing of it. You just throw it on the ground and mop it up, and it's clean.
It's like we always use Pine Sol.
Yeah. Pine Sol was the go-to. for
Pine,
us.
Pine Sol for you?
Yeah.
Well, now you mess up my statistic. I used to think only people that use Pine Sol was white folk.
No,
Huh.
I know plenty of people that use
Sol.
Pine Sol. Although I do want to try that like 7th generation stuff
Oh,
because it
yeah.
does not look like it cleans anything.
It looks like water. Like,
It does. Just looks like pure water.
I don't, again, not familiar. 7th generation? That's
Yeah.
a terrible market brand name.
I guess it's supposed to be more like clean for the environment, I guess is
Yeah.
what they've kind
Okay.
of put out there. So it's all like, but they put everything in still plastic bottles. So
Yeah, so not
I
doing too good.
yeah, no, not doing great, but it's like they're all clear plastic bottles with clear liquids, so they're not colored or anything like that.
Okay.
And they don't really have a smell to them that I've noticed,
Gotcha.
but they just don't really seem like they really clean anything. So I've been wondering kind of about that.
Yeah, man, get 7th generation and Fabuloso on this year's experiment and let me know how it goes.
All right, sounds
Get
good.
me updated.
Yeah, the first experiment we were supposed to do was hand washing,
Okay.
like how to properly wash
How to
your hands.
properly
And yeah, so
Okay. What hand soap should we use?
there really
matter.
is. It really doesn't matter
Okay.
because as long as you are actually using soap and what gets bacteria and viruses off more than the soap does is actually like rubbing your hands together.
Friction. Gotcha.
Yeah. So like, don't just put it on your hands and let it sit there.
Okay. Well.
And I would
if
suggest
you're still doing that, you're probably 3 years old.
Probably, yes.
At least I would hope so.
Like warm water, 10 seconds or 20 seconds. Like best way to go. It's the best thing to do. If you can, let your hands air dry, because paper towels and stuff like that will actually just add bacteria to your hands that you just washed off.
I thought that was the case with the blow dryers. Is it both?
The what?
The blow dryer, the air dryer.
Oh, the hair.
Oh,
Yeah.
Are you just taking a blow dryer?
No, what are those called?
those are like hand dryers.
Hand dryers.
Okay.
Blow dryers.
Yeah.
They're the same thing.
I was like, we don't really have those at UMHB because we're, I would say broke, but we're not. We just spend all of our money on the football team and the nursing program.
What are those called? Can you look those up?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Pretty sure it's just the hair. Not hair.
Hand dryer blower.
Oh, okay.
That's, again, terrible marketing.
Yes.
These people really got to get...
Or just hand dryer.
Hand dryer?
I know Dyson was making a few of them.
Yeah, Dyson has the air blade.
Sick.
Yeah, the air
Oh,
blade.
that's the one, yeah.
And that one's supposed to be super healthy.
Yeah.
Right?
It's supposed to be better because you're just using air, but I mean, no matter what you do, you're gonna have microbes on your hands.
Okay.
Like, that's just a normal thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's not bad that you have microbes because, like, what I said earlier about your normal microbiota, like, you have...
Yeah, bacteria is good.
Yeah. There is good bacteria.
Yeah.
Like, you have E. coli living in your stomach or in your gut right now.
I did know that one. That's
Yeah.
wild. That's stressing me out.
Yeah. It does, because we call those things opportunistic pathogens. Basically, where they reside right now, they're not causing you any harm and they're actually doing you good.
Gotcha.
But if they find an opportunity to get somewhere that they're not supposed to be, that's where
That's what the
things
issues
get
are.
messed up.
Gotcha.
This article says hand dryers suck. They suck in fecal bacteria and blow it all over your hands.
Yeah, see, that's what I thought. Yeah,
Okay.
they're pulling the air from the restroom.
From the inside
And the restroom is not clean. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sticking with the paper towels. It's healthier than the air dryer.
You're probably right, but at the same time, it depends on where your paper towels are, how long they're sitting there. Like, do you usually clean your rack that you put them on? Do you usually clean the counter that you put them on? Do you usually keep them next to the sink with all the rotting food and leftovers? It's like, it's no matter where you go, you're gonna find bacteria and something somewhere. You can't get rid of all of it.
Yeah, that's why I don't like talking about science. That shit stresses me out. Like, I don't.
Well, that was the thing too. I would always ask my mom. I was like, "How are you able to work with all of these microbes and everything? Like, aren't you worried about it?" And she's like, "No. If you're in this line of work, you really can't be a germaphobe."
Makes sense.
But
Makes sense.
and that was the thing. And for all of those listening out here, wash your hands over using hand sanitizer. It may kill it, but it doesn't get it off your hands, so
Right.
it might still be on there and active. So
Yeah, that's a big thing that kind of. Again, my knowledge against what is the current coronavirus knowledge, I was just like, wait, they told me it was bad. Hand sanitizer was bad a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
I've devoted my life to that statement.
Mm-hmm.
Don't use hand sanitizer at all, and now that I have to, I'm just like, okay.
like it's not bad to use every once in a while when you don't have the option of washing your hands. Like, it's a good alternative, but it shouldn't really be a first
The go-to. Gotcha.
kind of thing. And I mean, when it says it kills 99.9% of bacteria, that means all of it, the good and the bad.
Yeah.
So it can actually weaken your immune system.
Yeah, okay. See? Again, bro science, founded in real science.
Number 2,
Two for
if anyone's
two.
counting.
2 for 2. All right? You guys cannot talk mess about my bro science now. All right? That alongside with my bro history.
All right.
I'm going to call this episode Real Science. Ashley Grafe with Real Science.
Ashley's
I'm only a
That's
student.
true. That's true. You are now the first currently not teacher. I mean, you're gonna get into it eventually.
Yes.
But not a fine art folk. Gang. All right. So what other things can you affirm of my bro science?
That depends on what your
I know,
bro
I'm trying to
science
think.
says.
Virology. Can you explain that?
It's
Like,
basically the study of viruses.
yeah. See, that stresses me out.
Why does it stress you
Like,
out? Viruses exist.
Because you have to run tests on shit that can kill you.
Not necessarily.
What?
So basically, it could be anywhere from studying, like the basic building blocks of a virus. So basically, what you need to know first is viruses are not living. They're non-living things, and they are smaller than bacteria.
I think I knew that. Okay.
Yeah. So they basically just carry around DNA, and then they inject that DNA into your cells and can replicate, and that's how they spread.
How do they carry it around if they're not alive?
So they are encapsulated in this protein coat, essentially, that carries it around. It kind of acts like a little pouch that carries it around. But they have these little sensors on the... So it's kind of weird to explain. I don't really know how to explain what they look like. It's basically just like, here's the capsule here. They're connected to like a claw.
I've seen those.
Yeah. So the claw thing down
I saw
here...
that in like Jimmy Neutron. Yeah.
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 Yeah, so it has like receptors on the ends of them that can pinpoint and attach to a cell.
Legs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So basically from there, once it's attached, the DNA, or the RNA, I should actually get my facts right, but it's the RNA that gets injected.
Gotcha. Yeah, you need to be straight with your stuff, so
I
that
know.
way when I spout it out to somebody else,
you don't look like
looks like it looks like I know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, so it's RNA
Okay.
that gets injected into the cell and
Gotcha.
causes... it can cause mutations, and it just basically inserts its own RNA into the cell so that that cell becomes a replication site for that virus.
But it's not alive.
It's not alive.
So then how?
See, and that's part of the study.
That's what I don't get. Like,
No, that's the question that everyone is still trying to answer is like, it's not alive, but it does all of these
functions
things.
as if it does.
Yes.
Doesn't the cell create like the proteins
Yes.
to make that virus again?
Yes.
Basically? Yeah.
But
Like it creates that shell again, basically. It's like, hey, make more shells.
But how does it do that if it's not alive?
So it basically just kind of wanders. It just kind of wanders until it can attach to something.
How does it wander? Okay.
Like, it's basically just like if you just put something into my veins, like my natural heart rate is going to push all of that stuff around, and it's going to eventually end up on a cell.
That's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild that people found this out. But then also, like, you think about, like, early day science, like leeching. That shit's hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
It's
like,
you just got bad blood. We're just going to take out 2 quarts.
Get rid of some of the blood.
Yeah, we're just going to get rid of some of the blood, and then you'll be fine.
It's like, oh, you got a cut on your leg? Well, now we got to chop it off. Sorry.
Yeah, dude. Or just, like, they didn't know about, like, again, microbes. So you're just like, well, I just cut this dude's foot off. Let me do this heart surgery real quick.
Mm-hmm. It's like, or let me deliver your baby right now. Yeah, it was
wild.
It was crazy stuff, and they had no idea about like personal hygiene, and that's why the plague was a thing. Like, people were walking around with other people's crap, like just on the street.
That's weird.
And
Well,
that's
Fun fact: do you know why men walk on the outside of the sidewalk?
I assume it's to protect the woman. That's what I was told.
From what?
I don't know.
This is the thing. Do you know?
From poop in the street?
No, from people throwing poop off the house, out the window.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Little
that's
history
why.
lesson there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got that for you. Yeah.
Bro history.
Bro history. Like, see, I got it. Yeah, a lot of people think it's like a car safety thing that you can push it. No, like it stemmed from exactly that. People were like just taking buckets of poop, just chucking it out windows. Again, I don't understand why that was okay at any point in time.
Well, there was no plumbing system.
Well, I know.
There was like.
I mean, there was. Rome had it figured out. I don't know why all the.
But everyone hated Rome, so why would they follow?
That's fair, but yeah, see, there you go again, hitting the table. Yeah, I do it a lot. But still, you know, you could get you with some other bro history. Do you know about Operation Paperclip?
I do not.
Do you know about Operation Paperclip?
No.
Yeah, it's super jacked up.
Okay.
The long and the short of it is after World War II, United States and Russia kind of had a draft on all the Nazi scientists, and those are the ones that created NASA for us.
Oh.
Basically.
Sick.
Yeah. because Germany had so many more things figured out, and their rocket program was far superior to everybody else's. So once we kind of broke all that up, we were like, hey, we'll take some Russia. You guys got some. We'll call it straight. And then as well as a bunch of people fled to Argentina, and that's why they think Hitler went to Argentina.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which is wild because there's still like a deep culture of German folk in Argentina.
Look anywhere and you can find a deep culture of German everywhere.
That's fair, but like
me as an example.
Safe bet, most white people.
So like, I got blonde hair, blue eyes.
Yeah.
My last name is Grafe.
Yeah,
spelled Grafe. Like.
That's who you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
You were the golden child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of was for that day and age,
Yeah.
but I mean, I'm only a 6th generation American.
That's wild.
Yeah. So.
Do you know how many generations you are?
Not a clue.
Yeah, I have no idea either.
Not a clue.
It's like the only reason I know is because my great grandpa fought in D-Day,
Okay.
but he was an American soldier, fought in D-Day, but his great grandpa, is that right? Yeah, his great grandpa was fleeing Germany during World War One.
Dope. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool, man. That's cool that, like, again, white people have that opportunity to have that lineage. Let's go back. Not the case for everybody, but we won't get into that.
It all comes from stories, so I'm just assuming that my grandparents were right, and my great grandparents know what they're talking about. But
fair enough. But yeah, dude, that's so those. What's his name? Werner von Braun was the head of NASA, who was just done being, like, while he was a Nazi, he had a factory, and the 5 slowest Jews would then be hung outside his factory as a, like, hey, put in some work, other dudes.
Jesus.
Yeah. And then he's the one that basically got us to the moon.
Ah, good.
Yeah. Double check me on that, please.
Sure.
I know it's Werner von Braun. I know that he started NASA. I'm fairly certain that he was a part of sending us to the moon.
Ah, good.
Yeah. It's crazy, dude. It's a lot of stuff, like, again, history that they don't really teach you about.
Yeah.
It's great.
There's not a lot of time to talk about that kind of thing.
That's fair.
Like, as far as what I can remember in my history classes, but half the time we were watching movies anyways. So.
Yeah, so, the time that you did have wasn't spent well.
Yeah,
I wish.
basically.
Still trying to figure out things about, like, Egypt.
Okay.
And how all that...
Like ancient Egypt or
Yeah.
more modern?
Ancient.
Okay.
Modern Egypt is just super rough and struggle busting hard because, wars and stuff.
Most of the world right now.
Most of the world right now. Most of that just, area is not doing great.
Yeah.
Also, when did you find out that Egypt was in Africa?
When did I find that out? 2nd grade.
Really?
Yeah.
Was that...
Well, it was like a major part of biblical study because the entire
Okay,
book of
that's
Exodus,
fair.
you're
but
exiting from
it's
Egypt.
kind of a
Okay,
big
so
deal.
I didn't have I didn't learn history through Jesus.
Okay.
So I...
Through the Lord.
Yeah, through homie. So I missed that. I think I was in, like, middle school.
Okay.
Yeah, when I found out. Because it was just, like, Africa. And then Egypt was, like,
Well, I mean,
different.
To be fair, it's at the top.
Yeah.
But, like, I didn't realize the differences in Africa until probably, like, late elementary school, early middle school
Dude, I
kind
didn't
of thing.
learn
Like,
anything about geography my entire life.
really?
Yeah. All my history and geography classes were garbage growing up.
Like, my first year of high school, we took a world geography class. Like, that was considered our history class
Yeah.
kind of thing. So it was more like a cultural thing than anything else. It was more cultural studies.
For sure.
But you still talked about geography of certain areas. So, of course, we hit the 7 continents.
Gotcha.
But, I mean,
So,
we can only talk so much about Antarctica.
I was taught the 7 continents
Mm-hmm.
and kind of some of the places that were in each one.
Yeah.
But all my history classes were a joke, dude. It's rough. So
Sounds
that's
like
why
it.
all my knowledge is based in bro history.
Fair enough.
Because
Yeah.
I don't know. Even like my music history knowledge is super rough. That's another weird one is putting timelines together
Yeah.
of, like, when Beethoven was and, like, what the rest of the world was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Like, it's crazy to see what lines up with it.
yeah,
Like
it's so
American
strange.
Revolution and like Beethoven.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Same like era.
What?
Like
that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
like Thomas Jefferson and Beethoven were like contemporaries. Like
Yes.
I didn't think about that. I
Yeah.
don't like that.
I know, it's kind of crazy because you don't learn about them together.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they were two separate cultures. There was no way to really talk about how American culture was influenced by Beethoven because he wasn't really a thing in America.
Exactly.
We were too busy fighting the British.
Dude, history is so strange and convoluted and told by the winners.
Yeah.
That's really what it is.
Oh, for sure.
That's where it gets dicey.
There's a huge bias in pretty much anything, and that includes science.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah. Oh,
Oh.
yeah. One of the biggest things that you learn about, of course, is the discovery of DNA, and especially the double helix, what you know to be DNA now. That was discovered in, like, the late 40s, early 50s.
Yeah.
Like, it's new.
Yeah.
But you always learned, at least in high school, we were always told that it was Watson and Crick that found it. It was these two guys that basically, like, one was a geneticist and one was a physicist.
Okay.
And
Science
they
class was a joke too, so this is all new information to me. I had a rough go at school, folks.
Fair enough. So you always learned about that. It was those two guys that figured it out. When I got into college, and especially all of my science classes, you have to learn more about the history and go more in depth. Turns out it was actually a woman that figured it out, but they just used her research to propose it, and because they proposed it first, they were credited with coming up with a double helix. She was also a graduate student, so because she wasn't a published professor or didn't have that kind of degree, she was just doing research for her graduate program. I can't remember her name at the moment. I want to say it's Franklin.
I'm looking it up right now.
That's wild.
Yeah. So I actually wrote a paper on why, again, I think her name is Franklin, that why she should be credited with, and her name should also be added to the Nobel Prize.
Yeah.
Because, if basically she had done what's called X-ray diffraction, where it's basically taking a picture and you line up
So
just...
it's Rosalind Franklin.
Rosalind Franklin. See, it is Franklin.
Shout out to Rosalind Franklin for being a real OG.
Yeah. No, she was awesome.
Yeah.
She was an awesome woman, and she basically defied anything that a woman should be doing by doing this, but of course no one gave her the credit.
Of course.
Because
it
was a man's world, and it was a man's world, and she didn't even realize that her stuff was taken. Like, it's not like she gave them the stuff. She may have showed it to them once because they were interested in what are you looking at and kind of thing, and she showed it to them. So she was trying to publish, but because she was a graduate student, she had a much harder time.
Yeah.
It was that's true for graduate students now.
Yeah.
Basically, if you're a graduate student and you discover something, it's going to go under your supervisor. So your supervisor will take that and publish it, and it will go under his name or her name, whoever your supervisor is.
Yeah, that's bullshit. What?
Yeah. It's not great. It's just because, if you are a student under them, you don't really get credited with that.
But you found it.
You helped find it.
But, what if you found it?
Sorry about you.
Yeah, that's
it's
messed up, man.
Yeah, so I wrote a paper on Rosalind Franklin that just trying to credit her, or just trying to prove why she should be credited with it. It'd be one thing if she just willingly gave it up and said, yeah, go for it.
For sure.
But it was taken from her. So she wasn't really given a fair shot, and before they even gave out the Nobel Peace Prize, she died of cancer.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. She was a young woman,
So
too.
rough.
She had a rough go, but she was also a very successful woman. She published other things that became much more well-known later in life, just because you discover DNA and the structure of it. Everyone's going to be talking about that for the next 10 years.
She died at 38.
38?
Damn,
okay.
that's super young, bro.
Yeah. But she was super successful, even in those 38 years.
Well, yeah, she figured out the helix thing.
Yeah.
Well, she 37. She was about to turn 38.
Oh.
Damn.
Wasn't even done yet.
That's wild. Shout out to, Rosalind?
Yeah, Rosalind Franklin.
Rosalind Franklin. Shout out to her, man.
Yeah.
So that's also, another thing, How do you find that out? Like, what?
So again, it was the extra. Sorry, now I'm hitting the table.
Everybody either hits the table or hits the mic.
Oh.
You're gonna hit the mic at some point in time.
Oh, I think I already did earlier, but it's fine. Anyways, so I don't really know exactly how they came about it, just because we learned more of the history of just like, well, she took this picture and then they kept doing more stuff, and then eventually they built what seems to be what looks like DNA.
Okay.
Kind of thing.
Yeah,
So-
it basically says that she used a thing called an X-ray crystallographer, and it like
Sure, that's a real word.
It took a picture of what
X-ray
what half the
crystallography?
DNA. Yeah, well, it looked like what DNA was, and then they kind of just were like, "Cool, that's the picture." Draw it out, and that they got the award for it.
So the picture looks actually really cool. So it basically is just like a circle with a dot in the center, and then it has just little lines that kind of go down. I mean, obviously you can't take a 3D picture right there.
Yeah.
But those points on there kind of determine where those base pairs were going.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically they're just, each one is just a strand of different base pairs. So if you kind of look there, like that's what it looks like. So from there, they kind of pinpointed where those base pairs are, and they saw that it was rotating and connecting.
That's some science.
That's
Science.
damn.
In the words of Bill Nye, science rules.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like, yeah, I ain't doing that. That ain't me. I'm not that important. I'm not figuring that out because I'm trying. I can't see how they helix and or whatever you call it.
So, X-ray crystallography was not necessarily new at this point. It was still fairly new. It was pretty advanced in technology, but it wasn't a new thing. So people had already pretty much figured out how to look at it and then put things together from it. It also helped that one of them was a physicist, and so they could kind of pinpoint in space where each one was.
That's too. I was not ready to get this level of information, and I don't really know what to do with it.
It's like, well, you asked.
I know I asked, but again, I wasn't ready for that.
Fair enough.
So, like, how far in history did you have to like learn? Like, how far back in history did you need?
Yeah, what is science history?
Science history?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can go back. Obviously, we talked a little bit about ancient medicines kind of thing, just different ways of treatment. Obviously, we talked about some plants that were used that are still used today, but most of the time we just use them as essential oils. Now, thanks, Susan. But
So some of them are legitimate, but just because they got that essential oils
yeah, basically.
brand on them.
I mean, I don't know. I grew up with the grandma that was like, well, if you're sick, just put a little bit of whiskey on your tongue and then you're good. Like, especially for a cough.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Yeah. No, don't do that. Please don't do that with your kids.
Why not?
It's just not good for the kids.
Well, does it
And it
work?
really doesn't work.
Oh, okay.
It's more a placebo kind of thing. Like,
'Cause it
grandma
definitely
says it's going to work, so it's going to work.
It worked on me, shoot.
But biggest thing that we'll talk about...
I'm not sick. I never get sick, so.
Biggest thing that we'll talk about is origin of specific medicines that are used today. So like penicillin
Okay.
came from a fungus.
Word?
Yeah.
Yeah, ain't like most things... That's a terrible way to start a sentence. Aren't like most things like an accident in science and...
Not necessarily. So they'll stem from those early medicines used, like herbal medicines used.
Yeah.
But a lot of times people will go out searching for different parts of it, and you can... obviously, there's not like a fungus that you can just go out and eat, and it's gonna cure your infection. Like, please don't just go out eating mushrooms. But...
Depends on what type of mushrooms they are.
Any mushroom on the ground. No.
Well, reishi mushrooms would beg to differ, as well as lion's mane.
I
And
just
chaga.
don't like mushrooms in general.
That's fair. They're super good for you, though. Some of them are.
So I've heard, but I just don't like mushrooms. It's more of a texture thing for me. But
That's fair.
Yeah.
You're just probably not getting cooked well.
it's probably not. But who knows? But anyways, yeah. So like penicillin came from a fungus.
Wild.
You'll learn about the different scientists that have discovered different parts. So obviously Watson and Crick discovering DNA and why that was such a big deal and why we still study it today. Most of the time you're going to study more of the functions of all of these things now that we know them, so you continue to grow in the knowledge instead of just looking in the past. Like, instead of just a history thing, it's going to be more of like, all right, this is what happened then, this is how we got to now let's go forward. So we don't spend a ton of time on history, but we will focus a little bit on major points like the penicillin, just to kind of talk about how it was found, why we still use it, why it's still effective, and why we're actually now trying to get away from it.
Really? Why?
Yeah. Well, there are a lot of people that have penicillin allergies, me included.
Am I allergic to penicillin? I don't think I'm allergic. Are you allergic to penicillin?
You
I'm
would
allergic
probably
to
know.
amoxicillin.
So am I.
I don't know what amoxicillin is. What is that one?
It's basically just another antibiotic.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
So I'm straight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually, an amoxicillin is a penicillin derivative.
So I might be allergic to penicillin?
You might be.
Oh, word.
Yeah. So I just know I'm allergic to penicillin, I'm allergic to amoxicillin, and possibly zithromycin, which also comes from a fungus. Most of our antibiotics are going to come from
mushrooms
fungus.
are wild.
Yeah.
Dude, mushrooms are wild.
There are more
I stand
fungus.
By that. Oh,
there are
what
more
is his
things that's a
name?
fungus that's, not a mushroom.
Oh, I can't remember his name. All I got is Franz Haber stuck in my head, and that's something completely different. Franz Haber came up with the Haber method. Mm-hmm. Get you, again, with some bro history. He came up with the extraction of nitrogen from the air that then allowed to large agriculture for feed crops.
Oh, yeah.
So he got the Pulitzer Prize for that.
Yeah.
At the same time, I can't remember the name. Could you look him up? Franz Haber.
Franz Haber.
Yeah. World War II gas. He created this gas. He created two variations
gas?
on it. No.
Okay.
Not mustard gas.
Grass?
Something A and something B. Zyklon A and Zyklon B.
Okay.
I can't remember what Zyklon A was used for, but it had this like super aggressive smell. Mm-hmm. But then he showed the Nazis, or did it for the Nazis, remove the smell, Zyklon B, and that's when chemical warfare had started.
Oh, good.
So he was also on trial for crimes against humanity, as well as getting the Pulitzer Prize.
Oh, good.
What? Wild, right?
Yeah. No, that's definitely something I would not want to be.
No, dude. But he's the reason why carrots are a thing, basically.
Fair enough.
At H-E-B and Walmart.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah, shout out to that. Minus the, Zyklon B stuff.
Except for the gas that like killed dozens of people. But
yeah, let me know what Zyklon A was originally used for, if you could. Thanks, Doug.
Like, okay. If it was really that powerful of a smell, they probably used something like sulfur.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, like a sulfur base.
Something. I again, loose understanding of the thing.
Bro history. I can give you the facts.
Potassium sulfide was the.
Potassium sulfide, yeah. So it's a sulfur derivative, yeah.
Sure. Makes sense. Sulfur, sulfide.
So I would hope my 7 semesters of chemistry would help me be able to recognize.
That sounds terrible. 7 semesters, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Is there that much chemistry? No, that's a dumb question.
No, it was actually 6. It was 6 semesters.
Wait, what did you want to know?
What was Zyklon A used for? I know Zyklon B was used to kill Jews.
Specifically Jews.
Yeah, sorry.
Is that what they used in the gas chambers?
Yeah, that was the gas that they used in the gas chambers.
Oh, I thought you meant you meant on the battlefield kind of chemical warfare. I was
There's a blackened death metal band named Zyklon, just so you know.
That's fantastic.
Good to know.
That's a little dark, but it's interesting.
Looking for Zyklon A.
Or some Megadeth.
Yeah, look up Franz Haber Zyklon A. That should give you something that's not a band.
But it's also, we talk about just a lot of instruments and methods that were named after people that you didn't realize were named after people.
Such as?
So, might be a weird example, but fallopian tubes. Named after a guy.
Really?
Last name Fallopian.
It's a terrible last name.
Yeah. It's unfortunate now. It didn't mean anything back then until he discovered.
That is true. Yeah, a lot of things. Okay, that makes sense. A lot of things that you just kind of stamp your name on the thing that you created.
Yeah.
Why didn't homeboys stamp their name on DNA? Do you know?
Because DNA is already its name.
That was already established.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, though it is kind of stamped on there, like DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid.
Sure.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
So it's a sugar and a phosphate.
I got you. I understand.
Yeah. Okay.
Just keep talking
and
as if I understand
nitrogenous
everything
base.
you say.
Okay. Sounds good. So DNA is exactly what it is, but they discovered what's now known as the Watson-Crick model. So there were different theories about what DNA looked like.
Gotcha.
Kind of thing. And so there were different names for those models. So
Okay.
now we go through the Watson-Crick model.
And they're the gold standard.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Huh. Say DNA again. What's the words? Deoxyribonucleic acid?
Deoxyribonucleic acid.
Ribose. I was off by one letter. I'll take that.
It was close. But.
One thing I'm really seeing is he was able to synthesize ammonia from for nitrogen gas and hydrogen gas. That's his
Is it
meat.
Fritz
He looks
Haber?
like
I've
he's
been saying
dying from his
Franz
own
Haber
gas.
my entire life.
Fritz Haber.
Fritz Haber. Well then.
He looks like he's dying from his own gas. He does not look like he's having a good time.
I mean, again, he was tried for crimes against humanity. You know, he's not going to be the best looking dude. You're not going to get Matthew McConaughey doing that kind of stuff, right?
Well, you never know.
I mean, I'd like to think that'd be the case. I don't know. I don't want you to be attractive and smart. That's not fair.
All right.
Aggressively smart, all right? Like, you can't look like Matthew McConaughey and figure out how to extract nitrogen from the air. Like, that's not fair.
What about all the attractive doctors?
Natalie Portman is in Mensa. She's literally a genius, and she's beautiful.
She really?
Yes.
Well, it's not fair. I stand by my statement of that's not fair.
Genius.
That's great for her, and not fair for the rest of us normal humans. It's not okay. Right? I'm just a regular looking band director that's a little bit healthier than most. Because I try to take care of my body, Jesus.
Gotta take it where you can.
Yeah, try to, man. That's why, I gotta start waking up at 4 again. Not excited.
That's a no from me.
I don't feel good about it, but my after school schedule is just so dense.
Oh, yeah.
I can't get any workouts in otherwise.
Especially after teaching, you do not, last thing you want to do is go to the gym.
Too tired. And plus, I'm not one of those dudes that I have to work out on an empty stomach. Yeah. Because I just feel heavy and gross.
What do you usually eat?
Well, regardless of what I eat, like I can't go to the gym after my normal dinner. A cup of quinoa and brown rice and 2 chicken quarters and a whole avocado.
Oh, okay.
Right?
That's fair.
It's not good.
It's like, I'll usually wait a couple of hours or an hour and a half after eating before I go.
Nothing. It doesn't matter when I eat. I cannot work out afterwards. I feel like boo-boo.
Jeez. I'm the exact opposite. I have to eat something before I go work out or I will just die. But I'm also like $115 maybe. So.
Yeah. So guess how much I weigh now?
I don't know.
It's stressed me out.
How am I supposed to know that?
I'm just saying, I do not feel the weight of which I am. Like, how heavy do you think I am?
Like 140 something?
Yeah, you would think. 180.
Nice.
I was going to go 160.
Yeah. Your boy getting thick. And
Well,
I don't know
it's
where.
It's the muscle, but it's a lean muscle, so you don't feel the weight of it because you haven't become a croissant yet.
Trying to avoid that.
Good, please avoid that.
Blown out.
If you can at all, please avoid bodybuilding. It's so bad for you.
Well, good thing
Well, funny you should say that.
Oh, no.
Obviously didn't catch the episode. My boy Max, there's a bodybuilding competition in Waco, December 19th, and that is now the goal.
Yeah.
Is to compete in that.
I have a friend that's going to that.
Dang.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. I got to find coach, somebody to help your boy out because my knowledge is only of so much. But I have not a homegirl. She dated a buddy of mine, and I just kind of kept her on Facebook.
Fair enough.
But she is a female bodybuilder, and she actually just won like best in class.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm gonna hit her up and be like, yo, so like what do? Let your boy know. Help me out so I can figure this stuff out.
My boyfriend's roommate is a bodybuilder, and he has
Solid.
been since he started college.
Solid.
Basically, like he started just kind of weightlifting because he was never really happy with his body. He was
Yeah.
always a really chubby kid. Got made fun of a lot.
Usually how it goes.
Yeah. So he just started weightlifting like crazy, and he got really good results really fast.
Damn.
And
Must be nice. Jesus.
I know, for sure. But he does it all the time, and now he got his sister into it. Like, he actually just went to Austin yesterday to go
word.
watch his sister in a show.
Oh, it was the same show then, I think. Because, I
Maybe.
don't know. What are the chances there's a show in San Antonio and a show in Austin?
I
don't think so.
I don't know. There's a chance.
Can you look that up, Evan?
I mean,
Sure.
he usually goes to the
Bodybuilding
shows
competitions in this past weekend?
I mean,
Which
he
is a
usually
podcast.
goes.
Check out this past weekend's with Theo Vaughn.
Okay.
Kid is hilarious. Jesus
Nice.
Christ.
I was like, he usually goes to one in Oklahoma.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I don't know. It's something that I've always thought about doing, and
That's fair.
I figure.
Yeah. I would
My-
go for, like, more physique
Oh,
than
for sure.
bodybuilding.
No, I'm
There's,
not
like-
going. I'm not going. Ronnie Coleman, 300 pounds, 3% body, not even 3%, like 0.5% body fat.
Jesus.
Yeah, you ever seen Ronnie Coleman at
Yeah.
the peak of his? Oh
Uh-huh.
my God, that man is terrifying.
Mhm.
Just muscles on muscles on muscles on muscles on what's supposed to be like just an outline,
Mhm.
but nope, there's a muscle there.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah.
Him
No,
and-
I mean, I will give it to them. I don't know how they do it, but there are muscles like popping out on their body that I didn't even know you have. And I teach anatomy, and one of the subjects that we have to go through is memorization of muscles.
Well, then obviously you're just a bad teacher. You just need
Apparently.
to step it up.
Apparently.
Just become a bodybuilder.
No,
Get all the muscles down.
no. Remember, first, I got to get into MMA
That's
fighting so
right.
I can go to UFC.
That's right. I'm gonna be your coach for that. We're gonna travel to New Zealand. We're gonna go train down there with your boy Israel
Yeah.
Adesanya. Get you all squared away. Take it to the UFC.
For sure.
You'll be bodied up for that. Have you seen those girls? God,
I
damn,
have
they're
to be.
terrifying.
They are just
Ugh.
ridiculous.
But you would actually have to put some weight on, because I
Yeah.
don't think, because you said what, 115?
Yeah.
I think that's no. Atom weight is 105.
Yeah.
No, 115 is the lowest weight class in UFC.
Yeah.
But either way, you don't want to be
No.
rolling at that.
No.
At least get up to 125, cut down to 115.
Yeah.
Call it straight. Yeah.
I
We
was
got,
like, I need a lot more muscles.
we got the whole
like,
plan.
I don't know.
Just
And
the
I'm-
minimum weight is 115.
minimum
Yeah,
weight is
see?
one, yeah. But
What is that one called?
Flyweight.
Flyweight.
mhm.
Yeah, so we'll just get you into flyweight. It's I was about to say it's a fairly easy weight class. It's not. It's
No.
super dense.
Yeah. It's like there's so many of
Those
them.
girls are terrifying and can kick my ass 9 times out of 10.
Oh, I can see that.
I'll give myself some benefit of the doubt that I get lucky and crack them.
Just get one good
Just
shot in.
one shot in. And if I don't get that one shot in, they're probably bodying me up. But if I get
100%.
if I get the first one landed square on the jaw, I might be all right. Maybe.
Or you just
Maybe.
rattled the bull and made him really angry.
Or always an option. That being said, we do have a shared past of being in martial arts.
Mhm.
How did you get started with that? What's been that journey like? Why? Yeah.
So I wasn't really ever in martial arts, but I did kickboxing for a couple
That's a
of years.
martial art.
So fair enough. I had a friend in high school that we were in band together, and we got to be super close. And right after high school, she started working at this place called I Love Kickboxing
Nice.
in Austin.
Solid name.
I know. I was like, and it's really easy to actually. I think it's called ilovekickboxing.com. Like that's what's on the actual gym too.
There you go. All right.
So she was getting really into it, and she just never seemed like the type. Like she was one of those girls that you just looked at and you're like, you could never hurt a fly.
Yeah.
Only listen to Taylor Swift. Like stock white person.
My kind of people.
Yeah. So she asked me and my friend to go and see her one day. Just kind of check it out, and she gave us a discount on a class, and we're like,
Right on.
you know what? Why not? I've always wanted to try it. Seems like a fun time. So we went to a couple other classes, and I was like, yo, this is actually really cool. So I started going a lot more, and I found just kind of an open gym.
Nice.
That offered that. And so I would just kind of train on my own for a while.
Okay.
Because classes are expensive and I'm a broke college kid. So, yeah, I was just kind of taking the techniques that she and the other guys were teaching us throughout the classes and everything. And I was trying to just improve every day. So I never really had a lot of formal training in it.
Yeah.
But I had sparred a couple of times. Just kind of a, hey, I'm looking for someone to spar with. You want to go? I was like, yeah, sure. Why not? And it was always some girl about my size. It was just like, we've been punching bags this entire time. How about we just try to punch each other? Like, all right,
yeah.
Cool. But they weren't like official spars. It was just, it's open. Why not?
Just because.
Yeah. So, and that's also when I started getting into UFC fighting, just kind of watching it. And I never really followed a person or have a favorite fighter or anything like that. But it was just interesting to see the differences between kickboxing and then UFC fighting. Mm-hmm. Just because there is that mix of like MMA kind of thing and just the different techniques that each person uses and what their strengths are and
what they're taking from each one.
Yeah.
The difference in bases. So, you got people like Wonderboy Thompson who's out there aggressive karate style. So he just completely turned sideways, leading with the shoulder. And then you have who's stock Muay Thai. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head. But just turtled up, just going straight ahead at you. And just like, oh, you're fixing to throw some bombs. There it is.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. So then, have you just been kind of doing it ever since?
I've kind of stopped recently just because there's not a lot of places around here to do it that isn't like, there's 9 round in Temple, but that's
mostly an exercise class as opposed to a legitimate fighting gym.
Yeah, so I looked into it for a little bit just because they do have some like boxing and kickboxing elements to it, but the reason it's called 9 round is because you go through 9 rounds in an exercise.
Okay,
and so
that makes sense.
Most of them
proper branding.
Yeah,
I dig that.
A few of them are actually like kickboxing or boxing or anything like that, but the rest of them are like run on a treadmill or do some weights
just working out
or
stuff,
hit stuff and just like high intensity training, just anything like that. So it wasn't really for me. It'd be kind of cool as like a workout, but it was also really expensive. So I was like, I can't do that. Sorry. So recently I've just been kind of going to the gym and lifting weights more just because I was always someone that was purely cardio kind of thing. Like I was a runner for a long time. I did dance like a majority of my younger life. I did track after that, and then I did band. And even through all of that, I was running almost every morning. And even when I got to college, I was running a ton.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And my knees just started hating me. So that, and I was just so tired of being like, I enjoy being skinny, but at the same time, I have no muscle.
Yeah.
Like, if I have to move somewhere, I can't lift anything. I'm weak.
It's important.
Yeah.
It's important to be able to lift things up.
Yeah. So I started actually going to the gym and doing weights, but I always hated it because of how weak I was.
Yeah.
So, like, I couldn't really do very many reps or very much weight or anything like that. Plus, all the guys at the UMHB gym that are usually there are, like, the athletes, and there are guys that are doing, like, one-armed pull-ups and everything like that. And and then I met TJ, the bodybuilder.
Yeah.
And he was there. He's a super cool dude, and he's an engineer, one of the smartest people I know, but...
Wild.
Yeah.
Of course he's an engineer.
Yeah.
Just bodied up.
Yeah. Just
also super smart.
Yeah.
Ugh,
I know. Like, we would...
Not
I would
fair.
see him in the science building all the time. I was like, what do you study? Like, are you here for, like, a psychology class or something like that? And he's like, no, I'm an engineer. I was like, oh, sorry. But... But no, he's a super cool dude, but I would see him in there all the time, and he'd be in there for, like, 2 or 3 hours at a time.
Yeah.
And so would most of these guys, and even the girls sometimes. Like, girls at UMHB are...
Well, a lot of them, the strong women's athletics program there as well, right?
Yeah, we have a pretty good athletics program, but most of the time they do their own conditioning.
Really? Okay.
On their own.
Yeah, I mean, does UMHB have is it a shared weights facility, or do they have, like, a designated athletic one?
I don't really know for all of them. I know football definitely has a designated one.
Yeah.
And I know soccer, men and women's soccer, they share that one, but I know they have a designated one. And I think basketball may also share the soccer one. Okay. I don't know what baseball does. I honestly have no idea what baseball does. That's probably why they suck.
Out there wilding, yeah.
It's not a great baseball
That's
team.
how it
But
goes.
we also just had a guy sign on with the Nationals.
No shit.
Yeah.
Word.
Yeah. Just
Good
came
for
from
him.
UHB. He was easily not our favorite, but he was easily our best. Well, like, there were a lot of good guys on the team, but he was easily our best player and everything.
Yeah.
So, but it was one of those things, like, it's a D3 school.
Yeah.
And not a very good one as far as baseball, but we also just got a brand new coaching staff last year. So, I mean, he's changing a lot of things around, and he's really good at what he does. He's come from really successful programs. But, yeah, no, I think he was either going into his senior year or he was finishing up his senior year, and UMHB posted a note saying that he was signed with the Nationals.
Hell yeah. Good
So I
for
was
him,
like,
man.
yeah.
Shout out to him for doing the damn thing.
Yeah. We also had a couple of guys go to the NFL.
Yeah.
Not this past year, but in the 4 years that I've been here, we've had a couple of guys go to the NFL. Not great teams, but, you know,
Hey, man,
NFL.
still made it.
Yeah.
Still made it.
I was like, it's Cardinals and the Browns. It's still pretty good.
Yeah. Still. You're still getting a paycheck.
Yeah.
That is
I was like, you're
far
getting paid.
superior than mine.
Yeah.
Just make sure you stay healthy and just keep rolling them checks.
Yeah. So the guy that went to the Browns, he played for 1 year or one season, and then I think he got redshirted. And now he's in the XFL. I don't know what team he plays for, but
It's the XFL.
yeah.
But which might be able to get turned around because The Rock just bought it.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Did
Shout
not
out
know
Dwayne
that.
Johnson, yeah. Dude, Dwayne Johnson's always making moves. He's, you know, one of those people that I follow and hate that I follow because
Yeah.
he's just so successful at
Yeah.
goddamn everything.
Yeah. Kid's name should be Blake Jackson.
Yeah.
Shout out Blake Jackson.
Yeah.
That's a super white name. God bless.
Well, he's not white.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Definitely not white. But he was a cool dude. He kind of doubled up at UMHB. He was a quarterback and, I want to say, a receiver.
Interesting mix. Okay.
So I think he was a receiver at the Browns.
Shout out.
Yeah.
But yeah, he bought the XFL.
Nice.
And, see if he's able to turn it around. I think it was like $14 million to get the rights.
That's actually not that
In
much.
the grand scheme of like an entire
Organization,
athletics
yeah.
organization, really not much.
Yeah, it's really not. I was honestly thinking it was going to be more.
No, but there's actually a lot of argument. Like if he does it right, you could probably have a safer season in the XFL than you do with the NFL.
Yeah.
With the current state of everything, because
For sure.
with the XFL there's only 8 teams.
Yeah.
And you can control an 8-team bubble a little bit better than you can the 32. 32. I believe it's 32 NFL teams.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
I don't follow
Yeah.
NFL nearly as much as I do college
That's fair.
kind of thing. But, I mean, I'll still watch NFL.
32.
32?
Yeah.
Word. Yeah, I remember some things. Wild.
What a guy.
What a guy. And then the other shared, like, so the reason, like, we hit it off as quick as we did when you first came and worked for me back in the spring for indoor season before it got all shut down was the amount of shared interests that we had
Yeah.
growing up. So it was, bands brought us together, then the shared background in fighting as well as shared background in dance.
Yeah.
But I don't think I ever talked about, like, what training you had in dance.
Okay. So basically I started about, I want to say 5 or 6 years old. And
As you do.
yeah. And so, you do the classic, like, you take a ballet class and
Yeah.
a tap class. So I went through this studio called the Joyce Willett School of Dance.
Okay.
And it's out of Austin. There's only, as far as I know, right now there's only 2 locations.
Okay.
There were only 2 locations when I was there. But I started going to this one place. I don't remember what it's called. I did that for a while, but it was all the way down in Bee Cave.
Oh,
And I was still
okay.
living in Round Rock, so that was like almost
Bit of-
an hour and a half drive just to get
bit
there.
of a go.
Yeah. So it was still a good time, but it was just, I don't know, it was rough.
Yeah.
But I started going to Joyce Willett School of Dance,
Okay.
and they go through basically just tech levels as you're starting out. So you start out in 1A, then you go AA and AAA.
Gotcha.
So this is before you actually join the studio. Once you join the studio, you're part of a professional studio.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it doesn't have the professional title along with it, but once you graduate from the studio, you are considered a professional dancer.
Wow.
So, I mean, we've had people graduate from there that have started their own dance studios. We've had a couple of people. There's one guy named Vincent Arzola that graduated. He was a good friend of mine, even though we were like 6 years apart or something like that.
Nice.
But phenomenal dancer, and he's now in New York.
Oh, word.
Kind of thing. And then there was another girl, Brittany Parks. I didn't really know her very well, but she went on So You Think You Can Dance.
Nice.
Didn't get super far, but she's now a backup dancer for Beyonce. Yeah, homegirl's living her best
All
life.
right, she's doing the damn thing.
Yeah, like she's great choreographer. She was in the movie Fame for a little bit. She did like
Nice.
the tap circle in the movie Fame.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, backup dancer for Beyonce, all that kind of stuff. Like
So she all
girls
right?
making it. Yeah, no, she's
all
pretty
right?
good. I
okay.
guess she's all right. But so I started. I think I got into the studio at AA. That's
Okay.
what I can remember. As I started getting in there at AA. And that's when they started kind of broadening your spectrum of what kind of dance you're doing. So, of course, you always did the tap, ballet, and jazz. So then they started adding in hip-hop and a little bit of contemporary.
Gotcha.
So then you move up to AAA. And you still are just mainly training. So anytime you're in like 1A, AA, or AAA, you're mainly just training. You're not doing a lot of the performing
Okay.
just because you're not at the skill level to really be in any of the shows that anyone else is doing.
Fair enough.
So they really want to make sure that you have a really good dance foundation before you can move up.
Makes sense.
And so you don't move up based on age, you move up based on skill. So, I mean, I don't even know how old I was, but I started with a bunch of my friends and we were all about the same age. And eventually, as we kept moving on, as we kept getting older and everything, there were a few girls that, there were a few dance concepts that just didn't work out for them. It was still, they were trying to figure out their bodies.
Yeah.
And so they were held back.
Gotcha.
They were still getting older, but they were held back into probably like Tech 2 while we were going on to like Tech 3 and Tech 4.
Gotcha.
So the highest one that you could get up to was Tech 6.
Okay.
And once you reached Tech 6, you were there until you graduated from high school. And there you graduated from the studio.
Makes sense.
So you started in Tech 1. I'm sorry, no, that's not right. You actually started in Tech 3. So you went AAA and then you went into Tech 3.
Okay.
Yeah. Not a huge fan of the way they did that because it didn't really make a lot of sense.
Confusing, yeah.
Yeah.
Little
So,
hard to follow.
Yeah, so it was AAA and then you went into Tech 3. And from there, you, again, just kept broadening your spectrum, but you were training with everyone. So if you were a Tech 3, you were just with your Tech 3 class. But if you were,
Okay.
or I'm sorry, if you were AAA, you were just with your AAA class. If you were a Tech 3, then you were training with Tech 3, 4, 5, and 6 all together.
Okay.
So
What about 1 and 2? Do they exist? Tech 1, Tech 2?
Tech 1 and Tech 2 don't exist.
Well, that's silly.
Yeah, so it's just
Again, it's
AA,
branding.
AAA.
Branding is all over the place.
Yeah, I know. It was AA, AAA, Tech 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
So once you're Tech 3, you're like, it doesn't matter. You're going to be kicking it with somebody that's fixing to be professional.
Basically.
Gotcha.
It's like when we're doing show training or competition training, we're all together.
Okay.
You're only going to be doing dances that are fit for you. You audition for every single dance that you do.
Right.
Doesn't matter. It's like you can audition like as a Tech 3, which I started Tech 3 probably when I was 8 or 9 years old. And so I was going up and I could audition against a 17-year-old.
Wild.
Most likely not going to get it.
Prob's not going to get it, but you
they
could
did
do
not, unless there was one that was specifically like, this dance is only for Tech 6 dancers.
Mm-hmm.
If they didn't have that label on there, you could audition for whatever you wanted.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there were also times where, like, a girl could make a show for some reason, like she was in the hospital or something like that. So they would pull, if they didn't have another dancer in that tech class, they would pull from either the class above or class below based on your skill.
Makes sense.
And so a lot of times I was the one that was called up.
Nice.
It was like from just one or something like that because, again, if we're auditioning, you're learning all of the dances for your audition.
Yeah.
So based on your audition, they'll at least like pencil you in as like, obviously this is a Tech 6 dance. She's only a Tech 5, but she was the best one of the Tech 5s that did it.
Gotcha.
Kind of thing. So if we need someone to replace, she's up. Kind of thing. And that was a pretty common thing that happened.
Yeah, I mean, people are always getting injured
Oh, yeah.
Life happens.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I mean, there are a lot of times where just based on like quick changes and other stuff that other people are in, so say there's a Tech 6 dance and it requires 8 girls or however many people. But the dance right before it is another one, and there are 2 Tech 6 girls in it. Mm-hmm. So they don't have the time to change into it, so they have to move 2 people from Tech 5 up.
Yeah.
And that's actually what happened with one of our dances. There were 2 Tech 6 girls in the dance right before ours. So me and my friend Marlena got moved up.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was just one of those things that like they highly recommend, or they would always highly recommend that even if you don't think you're going to make a spot, which you probably won't, audition anyways.
Yeah. Just in case.
Yeah. But they were all very, very strict about the audition process. It wasn't like drill team in any way, which I'm now kind of glad that I never did drill team, because it's a totally different world.
Yeah.
That I don't know anything about, and I just probably would not have a good time. But
don't know if I can see you. I can't see her on a kick line with Kelsey.
No.
Not gonna go well.
I don't blame you. I don't see it either. But it was all just very strict, and it was all very uniform still. But they also allowed a lot of just emotional expression, and I think that's what I liked most about studio dancing as opposed to drill team is like you get to learn how to move with people and interact with people through movement kind of thing, as opposed to just like, all right, now I'm going to put my arm here and we're going to do kick line. Yeah. Or I have to be in this point of the pyramid or of the diamond for it to look right, and I have to go on this count for, like, it's all very militant in drill team, and there's not a lot of room for
individual expression.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's probably the best thing that came out of it was like individual expression and how I am best able to express myself. And it really like brought me out as a performer, because now I literally can't do anything without performing it.
That's fair.
Yeah. So that's why it always frustrated me, especially once I got into band, because I genuinely did not understand how someone could do a rep without performing it. Because if my instructors in dance were the type of people who were like, they could tell if you were not performing it full out, and we'd be running it all night. I've had to stay the night in the studio multiple times, just because there were a couple of girls that just were not putting it all out there. And of course we were all pissed off because we had been there since 8 o'clock in the morning, and now it's 2 o'clock in the morning the next day, and we're still running this dance. It's a long day, and it was a long process, but it was probably the best thing that ever happened.
Yeah. We should do that with marching band.
Oh, God, if only.
Oh, that'd be so horrible.
That dance was so much different. So much difference.
But I also have a lot of, like, really traumatic stories that came from it.
Again, dance.
But, I mean, so I got to Tech 6, so, like, the highest level you could be at, I got there when I was in 8th grade. Damn. Actually, before that, I got there in 7th grade, because I quit in 8th grade.
Solid.
So, I mean, I'm in 7th grade, and I can't move up. I'm at Tech 6. That's all I can do. That's all I can go to. And I'm a 7th grader. I just turned 13. Like, I still have 5 years to go before I even graduate.
Damn.
Kind of thing. But they did a really good job of still pushing you through everything. Like, if you were at Tech 5, they were pushing you as though you were already in Tech 6.
Yeah.
With Tech 6, obviously, as you grow up, you mature a lot different than other people. So they push you in your physical maturity, as well as your mental maturity, emotional maturity, anything like that.
All those things as you do as you grow up.
Exactly. So they really push it just to make sure that you are a well-rounded individual, as well as a really good dancer. But...
both are important.
But I will say my dance instructors were just something else. I love them to death. They were probably the nicest women ever until you got into rehearsal. But
usually how it goes.
Yeah. So, I mean, they would just kind of lose their minds a little bit, especially coming up to showtime. And I mean, that's normal. Okay. But we would have hilarious stories of just like this. One of my teachers, she got so mad that I guess a couple of the girls on the side before their entrance were talking. So she picks up a wooden stool and chunks it. Not at them, but just chunks it at the wall and breaks it.
Good.
Yeah.
Real healthy.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Good stuff.
And there was another time a friend of mine that was in my level, they were running a dance, and I was gone at something. I don't remember what it was. They were running a dance that I was not in, and she ended up spraining her ankle in the middle of it. And so she hobbled off, and she went to the break room, or I guess that's just what we called it. It was a break room, but it was all just very poor concrete floors and really bad chairs because they didn't want us getting comfortable back there. They really didn't.
Of course not.
So she was back there, and her mom was helping her, and she was just trying to wrap it up so she could get back out there.
Yeah.
And she just didn't want to get in trouble and all this kind of stuff. My dance teacher comes out there, and she starts screaming at her, saying, like, if you don't need an effing ambulance, get your ass back out on that dance floor. And I was just sitting there in the break room waiting for my dance and just looking at her like... But this woman, like, she went through a case, like a 12-pack of Diet Coke a day.
So she's just healthy all around.
Yeah, no, it was great. I will say, though, even though she drank that much, she was the skinniest, most toned woman I've ever seen. Best calves in the world. Kid you not, best calves in the world.
It's Diet Coke.
Diet Coke. Yeah.
Oh, of course, it's a diet.
The Diet Coke, man.
Yeah.
Aspartame,
Yeah.
super healthy for you.
Oh, of course. Of course. All that sodium, great.
Great. Yeah, dude. I mean, those. I was always I wasn't a part of my dance team in high school, but I was like the first. Like, if there was ever a dude needed, the director would call like hit me up about doing it, and I remember just being in a couple of those rehearsals because of course like I'm just kind of like basically not like doing her a favor, but like I'm very much an ornament. So she's like, just kind of do this for these 16 counts. Cool. And then she turned to the rest of the team and just lay into them for the next 5 minutes because they missed like two counts total. And I was like, and I'd just be kind of sitting there twiddling my thumbs like, so next rep? All right, I'm gonna go stand over here now. I'm gonna please don't yell at me. I'm so scared.
Oh man.
Yeah, dance directors, wild, man.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, they can really just destroy you.
Yeah.
And they don't even mean to. Like, one minute they're absolutely destroying you, the next minute they're complimenting you on how great you are, and like...
It's definitely not the best place for mental growth as a young person, but...
Definitely not.
It works.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I will say, like, I hope my kids want to be a part of dance.
Yeah.
At least, like, the dance that I did kind of thing, just because there are definitely other studios that are way more pretentious than the one that I was in, and... all they cared about was contests, and I mean, they paid like hundreds of dollars for one costume for one dance kind of thing, and that was not us. And like, we still did a lot of community outreach kind of thing, and that's where I met some of my closest friends. Is like, we were in our main studio was our Windsor studio. It was, I don't remember exactly where it was, but it was. Do you know where Reagan High School was? In Austin?
Austin, yeah.
Yeah, no, it was like right across the street from Reagan High School.
Oh, word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were there, and pretty much every Saturday we would have rehearsals from 8 in the morning till at least 7 o'clock at night. And then they ended it at 7. That way you still had time that if there was a dance that they needed to run, you were staying and you could run it. But there was like a 2-hour block from like 11 to 1 that we did MAD, which was Make a Difference. And it was just a free hip-hop class for anyone in the area that wanted to come.
Oh, yeah.
It was basically like, at least at that point, I don't know how that area is now, but it was run by a lot of drugs and just gangs were around there. And so we were just trying to get a lot of those kids that would come into contact with that off the streets.
Makes sense.
Just put them into something that would...
Something a little more positive, yeah.
Just something that, like, give them something to do on a Saturday in the middle of the day, or something that they could do to practice for.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so we'd bring people in. Like, we actually had a couple of really good choreographers that came in and would do it for us. We had Brittany Parks come in and do it for 1 week. And it was super cool. And there was one year, I want to say it was like 2008 or something like that, we did a Michael Jackson tribute show.
Nice.
So,
as did everybody do it that year.
Yeah. So it was an entire 1.5 hour long show of just Michael Jackson. Yeah. So because that was a thing, we wanted to make it as big and as fun as possible.
Yeah.
So we asked those kids that had regularly been coming, like, hey, do you want to be a part of our show?
Yeah.
Do you want to be in it? Kind of thing. So we put them in it.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
All right.
And I mean, we added groups. We had our own rat pack kind of thing.
Nice.
Like, it was made entirely of kids that just came from that MAD class kind of thing. And they were all from the area, but they were phenomenal dancers.
Yeah.
All fantastic dancers. Like, I wish I still had the videos because, I mean, dude, they were fantastic. And it was just really cool to see all of us, like, the people that had kind of grown up together in the studio, mingling with these people that we had never met before, that had now become some of our closest friends.
Yeah.
Because we saw them on Saturdays. We were rehearsing with them just like we had rehearsed with everyone else.
Yeah.
So.
Create those bonds, too.
Oh, yeah.
Through the dance. That is... Just, I mean, similar to like the marching band thing, the level of camaraderie that stems from the dance world is just usually really positive.
Mm-hmm.
As with everything, there's always a chance to not be positive. But
I kind of felt bad about it though. I had left just because essentially my dance program had essentially sat me down and said, "All right, you got to choose between us and your faith." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." Deuces.
Yeah.
So I left, didn't realize that pretty much everyone else who was with me in my level was thinking the same thing. Was like already getting kind of tired of it, and they were just kind of looking for a way out. But they didn't want to be that person that left. So once I left, it kind of sparked a movement and pretty much everyone left. Which I felt really bad about. I really did. But a lot of them were trying to do other things. Like my friend Kendall also wanted to do band. So she found her way to get out of that, and then she also got into basketball.
Yeah.
And she was really good at that. I mean, in like 8th grade, she was wearing size 13 shoes.
Jesus.
Yeah. She was
Goddamn.
a tall woman.
She's...
I know you were 13.
Neither do I, man. She built big.
Yes. No, she was real built, but she was like Amazonian kind of built, like tall, lean, like
God
really
bless.
muscular. Man, she was awesome. Yeah. But I mean, it was like, once I got to high school, and this was after I'd already left and everything, I was doing the band thing, but I would see a lot of my friends at high school games because they lived in the area that I did. So, I mean, like, Kendall went to Stony Point. Our friend Mina was in the McNeil. Yeah, she went to McNeil, and she was in the drill team there.
Nice.
I had another friend, my friend Yasmin, was in the drill team at Cedar Ridge. So it was like, I got to see them a lot still. And then a few other people from there joined band, too. It was like they just wanted to do other things.
Nice.
And that's totally fair, but a lot of us stayed in contact. There was one girl that I lost contact with pretty quick, but she, like, went head on into track, and now she runs track for Yale.
Oh.
Yeah, like, girl got a track scholarship to Yale.
That's what's up.
And she was probably the most cut but muscular girl ever. Like, she was also one of those super tall girls. Her name was Angel. Most gorgeous girl I've ever seen. Still, to this day, one of the most gorgeous girls I've ever seen. And girl was muscular. Like, she looks like she was just skin and bones, but I mean, she could do 75 push-ups like nothing.
Damn.
Yeah.
Shout out to her.
Yeah, she was a beast.
Word. Well, I'm pretty sure that we could do this for another 3 hours.
Oh, probably.
Easy. Just going through more of it. But like I said, I haven't eaten today.
Should probably do that.
So I kind of feel myself dying a little bit.
Good.
But with that being said, any final thoughts, life-changing revelations, secrets to life, what's the meaning of it? Any final things for the children at home?
If you have the secret to life, please tell me. Basically, wash your hands.
Okay.
Don't use hand sanitizer, please. Try not to. Yeah, don't be dumb. Just in general, don't be dumb.
That's fair. Don't be dumb. Word. Well, thank you very much for being on the show. As always, Evan, appreciate you, big dog. Everybody listening and watching, thank y'all for being with us until the very end. Appreciate y'all so very much. Y'all be easy. Peace. Thank you.